The Santa Rosa Cartel chose the wrong day, and the worst possible man, when they targeted the Rio Grande detention facility in Rio Seco, Texas. What their intel failed to reveal was that the seemingly ordinary head of security, Robert Chandler, wasn't just some desk-bound officer. He was a retired Delta Force legend, a man with 27 years of combat behind him and a past soaked in the blood of America's most dangerous enemies. That spring morning, as cartel hitmen crept toward the facility under cover of dawn, they had no clue they were walking straight into a trap. Waiting for them inside? 6 of the deadliest Special Forces veterans ever assembled, warriors forged in the fire of Iraq, Afghanistan, and Black Ops missions the government still denies ever happened. What happened next would shake U.S. Mexico relations to the core and leave a trail of bodies across the sun-scorched desert. The cartel had come to extract a high-value prisoner, a woman whose testimony could dismantle their entire network. Instead, they ran headfirst into a team armed with cutting-edge tactical gear and a personal vendetta. When the smoke cleared, the facility still stood. Justice had been delivered. And the world was reminded of a brutal truth: some men aren't just trained to fight, they're trained to win, no matter the cost. Quick pause, drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. And if these stories hook you in, hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow's episode, it's on another level. The sun climbed slowly over the gritty plains of Rio Seco, Texas, just 12 miles from the border, where the Rio Grande cuts through the land like an old scar. For most people, it was just another Tuesday. But for Robert Chandler, it marked exactly 1,000 days since his last mission. From the porch of his modest ranch home, coffee in hand, Robert stared at the horizon. He never kept count after retiring from Delta Force. What was the point? After 27 years of war, numbers only mattered if you were waiting for something. And Robert Chandler wasn't waiting, or so he thought. 1,000 days since Kandahar. 1,000 days trying to forget what he'd done, and what it cost. His rugged face was calm, but his eyes never stopped scanning the landscape, a reflex sharpened by decades of danger. Then the phone rang. "Chandler," he answered, voice flat. "Morning, Captain." "Long time," said a familiar voice that made him sit up straighter. "Colonel Harris. Didn't expect to hear from you again." "Neither did I," the colonel replied. "But things change. You still at that detention center?" 3 years now. Just consulting on security." "Not anymore," Harris said. "You're head of security now. Paperwork's done." "I didn't apply for anything." "You didn't have to." This came from way upstairs. Robert stood, suddenly alert. "What's going on, Colonel?" "We've intercepted chatter. Santa Rosa Cartel's planning something big. Your facility is the target." "A detention center? Why would they?" "That's what you need to figure out. Fast. We're assigning you a special team. All ex-operators." "Delta?" Robert asked, already thinking 3 steps ahead. "And more. They'll report to you by 1800 tonight. Files are on the way." Robert's face hardened. "Who exactly am I protecting, Colonel?" "Everyone," came the reply. "That's all you need to know for now." Then the line went dead. Robert stood frozen for a beat, then moved inside to his small home office. He powered on his laptop. The war was supposed to be behind him, but sometimes war comes looking for you. In his inbox, 6 personnel files. The first, Michael Torres. Former Navy SEAL, combat specialist in maritime ops, expert in weapons and close quarters battle. 4 tours in Iraq. 2 in Afghanistan. His photo, sharp-eyed, steel-faced, Hispanic, solid as stone. Next, Sarah Wilson. Army Intel. Surveillance and signals expert. Embedded with Delta for 5 years. Fluent in Spanish and Arabic. Her file praised her analysis skills. Her photo showed a lean, focused woman with tight brown hair and eyes that missed nothing. Then came James Doc Peterson. Ex-Special Forces medic. trained in forensic pathology, decorated with 3 silver stars. His face told a story of death witnessed, but not surrendered to. Fourth was Derek Johnson, Green Beret, demolitions expert. Years spent training counter-terror units across South America. Master of perimeter security and anti-infiltration. Always half-smiling, never joking. And finally, the last file made Robert pause. Elena Vasquez, former DEA. Deep undercover inside cartel operations. Now with ICE. Her file was marked high clearance only and noted personal stakes involved. Robert closed the laptop. He wasn't just protecting a facility. He was walking back into a war. But this time, he wasn't going alone. There was a file that stood out, marked Facility Intelligence Update, classified. Robert opened it and immediately noticed how little it revealed. Just a name, Gabriela Reyes. The note underneath described her as a high-value witness in federal custody, set to testify in a major case against the Santa Rosa Cartel. Witness protection had failed her. The cartel had infiltrated too many layers of law enforcement. So instead, she'd been hidden in plain sight, buried under a false identity among thousands of migrants at the Rio Grande detention facility. No one would think to look for her there. The name Santa Rosa Cartel hit Robert like a steel fist to the gut. Rage crawled up his spine. He pulled open a drawer and retrieved an old, faded photograph, a younger version of himself, standing beside a smiling woman and a little girl on a warm summer day. Maria and Sofia, his wife and daughter. Killed 12 years ago in Ciudad Juarez. Caught in cartel crossfire while visiting Maria's family. Wrong place, wrong time, the officials had said. Just 2 more innocent names erased in the bloody chaos of cartel violence. Robert had been deployed overseas when it happened. By the time he returned, the trail had gone cold. The Santa Rosa Cartel denied involvement. No suspects. No charges. Just silence and graves. Now, by some twisted turn of fate, the cartel was back in his orbit, and this time, Robert Chandler wasn't a grieving husband. He was the last line of defense. He placed the photo back in the drawer and refocused on the briefing. The attack was believed to be imminent. Over the past several weeks, the cartel had been moving personnel and equipment across the border. Intelligence suggested they had someone already inside the facility, but their identity remained unknown. The Rio Grande detention facility held over 2,000 migrants in legal limbo, waiting for asylum hearings or deportation. To the outside world, it was just another piece of America's tangled immigration system. But to Robert Chandler, starting today, it was a fortress under threat. An hour later, dust trailed behind Robert's truck as he drove toward the facility. The colonel's words echoed in his head. The cartel never made moves this bold without a reason. Whatever, or whoever, they were coming for, it had to be worth everything. At the gate, the midday sun beat down on the asphalt. A security guard looked up from his post and nodded. "Morning, Mr. Chandler." "Or should I say Chief Chandler now," he said with a grin. "Just Robert is fine, Mike," Chandler replied. "News travels fast. Faster than usual, lately." Robert parked his truck and stepped out, scanning the grounds with a new perspective. He'd worked here for nearly 3 years as a consultant, hired more for his credentials than for anything he actually did. Most of his recommendations had been ignored. That was about to change. Inside, he was met by a woman in her early 40s, clearly trying to hide nerves. "Mr. Chandler, thanks for coming in early." "I'm Linda Walsh, the new facility director," she said, offering her hand. "New? What happened to Director Alvarez?" Robert asked, shaking it. "Reassigned yesterday. Rather suddenly. Much like your promotion, I imagine." They walked down a long corridor as Walsh lowered her voice. "I'll be honest, I was told to give you full operational control over security. No explanations. Want to tell me why?" "I know as much as you do, Director. Just following orders." Walsh gave him a look that said she wasn't buying it. 20 years in government, and I've never seen a clean story start with just following orders. But fine. I'll play along. They reached a door marked Security Operations. Walsh swiped her card, revealing a modern command center. Surveillance screens lined the walls. A digital map of the facility dominated the center. Your new domain, she said. Upgraded last week. Total coincidence, I'm sure. Robert scanned the room. Who else has access? Just me, you, and your incoming team. Whoever they are. I was told to prepare for 6 people. They arrive tonight. I'll need isolated quarters for all of them, separate from the general staff. Already arranged, SE Wing. West Side. It's cleared. She handed him a folder. These are the current protocols. You will probably want to throw them out. Robert took the folder without looking inside. First, I want to walk the perimeter. Alone. Walsh checked her watch. I have a briefing in 10. Meet me in my office at 3. We need to go over tomorrow's visit. Visit? Congressional delegation. Plus some media. They're immigration rights advocates, scheduled weeks ago. Can't be postponed. They're concerned about conditions here. Ironic timing, Robert muttered. Exactly, she said. See you at 3. As she walked off, Robert turned toward the digital map, eyes narrowing on every entry point, every blind spot, every camera angle. The game had already started. Robert scanned the facility's digital map again, eyes narrowing as his military instincts kicked in. He didn't just see walls and doors, he saw weak spots, blind angles, and choke points. The building wasn't designed for a siege. It was built for processing paperwork and holding migrants, not repelling an armed assault. And yet, it would have to do. But no matter how hard he tried to focus on logistics, one question kept clawing at his mind. Why would the Santa Rosa Cartel risk a direct strike on a U.S. federal facility? He pulled out his phone and dialed a number he hadn't used in a while. Sanchez, answered a gruff voice on the other end. It's Chandler. You still with Border Patrol intel? 15 years and counting. Heard you went civilian. What's up, Captain? I need intel on Santa Rosa activity. Anything weird over the past month? A pause. This line's not secure. I know. Meet me at Cisco's Diner. 1,400 hours. That bad, huh? I'll be there. Robert hung up, eyes flicking back to the map. He thought again about the 6 operators whose files he'd reviewed, war veterans, top of their fields, each with combat experience rivaling his own. You don't assemble a team like that unless you're expecting hell. Outside, the Texas sun hit hard as Robert walked the perimeter. He noted every shadowed corner, every blind spot in the camera grid, every point a breach team might exploit. The facility wasn't ready, but it would be. It had to be. Then his phone buzzed with a simple message. Package arriving 1,300 hours. Loading Dock B. Exactly at 1300, a nondescript delivery truck backed up to the dock. Robert stood alone, waiting. A woman stepped out, civilian clothes, but the way she moved? No doubt she was military. Calm. Alert. Trained. Delivery for Chief Chandler, she said, holding out a biometric scanner. I'm Chandler. He pressed his thumb to the reader. Beep, confirmation. Your delivery, sir. She turned without another word, opened the truck's rear doors, and revealed 6 heavy-duty metal cases with federal markings. When the truck pulled away, Robert hauled the cases inside one by one, storing them in a secured room. One by one, he opened them using the confirmation code. Inside the first case, advanced tactical gear, body armor, night vision goggles, encrypted comms. The next, medical supplies, high-grade weapons, ammo, breaching tools, surveillance drones, diversion kits. This wasn't standard detention gear. This was gear for war. As he closed the final case, his thoughts circled back to the classified file, Gabriela Reyes. Somewhere inside this facility was a woman so valuable to the cartel, they were willing to declare war on the U.S. government just to silence her. Robert Chandler wasn't going to let that happen. Not again. He'd already lost everything once. Not this time. And hey, if you've been with us this far, hit that subscribe button. These stories take hours to build, and we've got more coming that you won't want to miss. Back to the story. At exactly 1800 hours, a government SUV rolled up to the main entrance. Robert watched from the security office as 5 people stepped out. Civilian clothes, but their body language said everything: tight formation, smooth movements, constant awareness. Military. As Robert entered the conference room he'd converted into a temporary command center, the 5 operators stood at parade rest. One wall was covered with maps. Another showed live surveillance feeds. He closed the door behind him. At ease. I'm Robert Chandler. The first to speak was a solidly built Hispanic man. Michael Torres. Navy SEAL Team 6. Weapons. Next, a sharp-eyed woman with a no-nonsense tone. Sarah Wilson. Army Intelligence. Signals and Surveillance. A silver-haired man stepped forward. James Peterson. Everyone calls me Document Special Forces Medic. A tall black man followed. Derek Johnson. Green Beret. Demo and Perimeter Defense. Last came a woman whose gaze locked with Robert's for a second longer than the rest. Elena Vasquez. DA. Undercover Ops. Currently ICE. Robert nodded to each of them. I've reviewed your files. You're not here for training drills. You've been briefed? Only that the cartel is targeting this place, Torres said. That's all I've been told, too, Robert admitted. Until I found this. He tapped a key, and Gabriela Reyes' file appeared on the screen. She's currently in the women's wing under a false identity, Maria Diaz. She's a federal witness. Her testimony could bring down the entire Santa Rosa cartel. Who is she, really? Elena asked, studying the photo with unusual focus. File doesn't say. Just that she's high value, and her life's in danger. She's been here 3 weeks, and the cartel found out, Wilson said. Looks that way, Robert replied. What we don't know is how much they know. We don't know when they're coming, Robert said, or if they already have someone on the inside. They do, Elena replied flatly. All eyes turned to her. Santa Rosa doesn't make moves like this without inside intel. It's part of their standard playbook. Yeah, Robert nodded. That's what I figured. Which means from this point on, we trust no one outside this room. Not the guards, not the staff, not even the director. Speaking of, Doc interjected, how did we all get reassigned here so fast? I was in North Carolina yesterday. Robert's jaw tightened. That's what's bothering me. Someone high up wanted this team assembled fast. Someone with enough pull to move us like pieces on a chessboard. Or someone needed a strike-ready team without raising suspicion, Torres added. Either way, Robert continued, our mission is clear. Lock down the facility. Identify the mole. Protect Gabriela Reyes. And prepare for a potential cartel assault. Any timeline? Johnson asked. Intel suggests it's imminent, Robert said. Could be days. Could be hours. Wilson frowned. Complication, we've got a congressional delegation arriving tomorrow. Media too. Can't cancel without drawing heat. Rules of engagement? Torres asked. Robert looked each of them in the eye. Officially, minimum force. Defensive measures only. He paused. Unofficially, we do what needs to be done. These people are coming to silence a witness. And they'll kill anyone who gets in their way. I won't let that happen. The team exchanged silent glances, tight nods of mutual understanding. "We're with you, Chief," Torres said. "Good," Robert replied. "Gear's in the secure room. Suit up. Torres, Johnson, you're on perimeter audit. Wilson, check all surveillance systems, cams, motion sensors, comms. Doc, review the medical bay and prep for casualties. Vasquez, you're with me. We're finding Reyes." As the team moved out with silent urgency, Elena lingered behind. "Chief, can I speak with you privately?" Robert nodded, and they stepped into the corner. "There's something you should know," she said, voice low and steady. "Gabriela Reyes isn't just a witness. She was Alejandra Cortez's mistress." Robert's brow lifted. "The head of Santa Rosa?" "Yes. But more importantly, she was his financial manager. She knows where everything is. Every shell company, every offshore account, every bribe, every piece of real estate. Her testimony won't just convict him, it'll cripple his entire empire." Robert stared at her. "That's not in the file." "It wouldn't be," Elena said. "That info is compartmentalized. Only the highest levels have access." "How do you know?" Elena hesitated. "I was undercover inside the Santa Rosa organization. 2 years. Gabriela was my contact. She helped me gather intel. I was pulled out just before she turned herself in." "You knew her personally," Robert said. "We worked together. I trusted her, and she trusted me." Her eyes sharpened. "If Cortez knows where she is, he won't just send a kill team. He'll come himself. This is personal." Robert took that in slowly. "Did Colonel Harris know about your connection when he assigned you here?" "I don't know," Elena said. "Maybe." "Stay close," Robert said. "If anyone can spot a mole in this place, it's you." "One more thing," she added. "Cortez's second-in-command is a man named Diego Fuentes. If they're planning a move this bold, he's probably running it. He's not just violent, he's creative. Former Mexican Special Forces. Turned cartel enforcer." "Perfect," Robert muttered. "A professional. The worst kind." Cisco's diner sat just outside Rio Seco. Dusty, worn down, and filled with locals, truckers, and off-duty border patrol. The kind of place no one asks questions. Robert arrived at exactly 1400, sliding into a back booth with clear views of every exit. 5 minutes later, Carlos Sanchez arrived, dressed in civilian clothes. The shape of his sidearm showed under his jacket as he slid into the booth. "Been a while," Sanchez said, motioning to the waitress for coffee. "Too long," Robert replied. "How's the family?" Robert asked. "Third kid on the way," Sanchez grinned, then steadied Robert's face. "You look like hell. Had better days." The waitress brought the coffee and stepped away. "So," Sanchez leaned in. "What's going on with Santa Rosa?" "They're planning to hit the detention facility. I need to know what you've heard." Sanchez's face darkened. "So it is about that," he muttered, glancing around before lowering his voice. "We've seen odd movement the past 2 weeks. Small teams crossing the border at remote locations. All military-age males. Equipped. Organized. Not your average group of crossers." "How many?" Robert asked. "Hard to say. At least 30. Maybe more. Carrying drugs? No. That's what's strange. No cargo. Just gear. Tactical stuff. Looks like a strike team." Robert sat back. "That matches what I'm seeing." "There's more," Sanchez said. 3 days ago, we intercepted a vehicle, 2 cartel soldiers. They had detailed maps. Of the facility? Not directly. But they had utility maps, power, water, underground lines, including areas that feed into the detention center. Robert's stomach sank. Sanchez sipped his coffee, then added, "We picked up chatter too. About a high-value extraction. We thought it meant a drug shipment." Robert finished the sentence for him. "But it's not drugs. Shipment or a person?" Sanchez asked, leaning in. "What kind of person would be worth an operation like this?" Robert didn't answer right away. Too many pieces were still missing. "Any timeline?" "One of the men we intercepted had instructions to be in position by Thursday. That's the day after tomorrow." Robert made a mental note. The clock was officially ticking. "You want to tell me what's really going on?" Sanchez asked, squinting. "Why are you involved?" "I'm the new head of security at the facility." Sanchez's eyebrows shot up. "Since when?" "This morning." "Well, that's convenient timing." "No argument here," Robert said grimly. Sanchez hesitated, lowered his voice. "There's one more thing. Just a rumor, but word is Alejandro Cortez crossed the border 3 days ago. Came in with heavy protection." Robert's jaw clenched. "He's here? In the U.S.? "That's the rumor. Can't confirm it. But if it's true, this is way bigger than any of us thought. Be careful, Robert. These aren't the Taliban or old-school insurgents. Cartels? They've got reach, cops, border agents, local government." "I know," Robert said. Sanchez steadied him. "There's something you're not telling me." Robert met his friend's eyes. "Better you don't know." Sanchez nodded slowly. "Fair enough." He slid a burner phone across the table. "My number's in there. If it goes sideways, call me." "Appreciate it." "One last thing," Sanchez said, standing. "We've been tracking activity at an abandoned ranch about 15 miles south. Vehicles coming and going at odd hours. Address? LRA 78. Old Canyon Road. Used to be the Hernandez place, bank took it years ago." Robert nodded. "Thanks." They parted without another word. Back at the facility, Robert found Elena already waiting in the security office. "We should talk to Gabriela," she said without preamble. "She might know what Cortez is planning." "Agreed. But we have to do it carefully. If there's a mole-watching movement in her cell block, we tip our hand." "I've got an idea," Elena said. "ICE is conducting routine interviews with detainees about facility conditions. I'll add her to my list." "Do it." Just then, Sarah Wilson entered, clearly irritated. "Security systems here are a joke," she announced. "Blind spots all over the north perimeter. Electronic locks? A high schooler could override them. And the software? 3 years outdated. Can you fix it?" "Some of it. I've patched critical points and repositioned a few cameras, but we need better gear, like yesterday." "Work with what we've got," Robert said. "Focus on early warning. I want to know the second someone steps onto the perimeter." Torres and Johnson came in next, both looking grim. "Physical security's no better," Torres said. "Standard chain-link fencing, razor wire. Cuttable in minutes. Main gate is the only reinforced section," Johnson added. "Patrol routes are predictable. Easy to time. Staffing? Minimal overnight. 15 guards, 3 medics, 2 admins from midnight to 6. Robert exhaled slowly, absorbing the intel. "All right. We set up a defensive buffer around Gabriela's area, quietly. Wilson, can you isolate her wing system from the main network?" "Already started," she said. "I'm building a parallel feed. If the main grid goes dark, this one keeps running." "Good. Johnson, cover blind spots with motion sensors. Cheap and dirty. Just enough to alert us." "On it." "Torres, draw up a fallback plan for the women's wing. Multiple defensive positions." Already thinking through choke points, Torres replied. Robert looked at the map again. Based on everything we've got, best case scenario, we've got 48 hours. Let's make every one of them count. As the team spread out to their tasks, Robert made his way to Director Walsh's office for their scheduled check-in. She looked up from a stack of paperwork, her face tight with concern. "Mr. Chandler," she said, motioning for him to sit. "We just received the finalized itinerary for tomorrow's congressional visit. They're bringing more media than originally scheduled." Robert's brow furrowed. Why the added interest? There have been allegations about the women's detention area. Nothing confirmed, but enough smoke to attract fire. She studied his face. "These security upgrades, do they need to be completed before the visit?" "Absolutely." "That urgent?" Robert chose his words carefully. "We've received credible intel about a possible security threat." "What kind of threat?" "I can't discuss specifics." Walsh leaned back, clearly frustrated. "Mr. Chandler, I'm the director of this facility. If there's a danger to my staff or our detainees, I need to know. What I can tell you," Robert said firmly, "is that we believe someone may attempt to compromise facility security in the next 48 hours. My team is implementing preventative measures. Should we cancel the delegation's visit?" Robert paused. "That would draw attention," he said. "And right now, attention is the last thing we need." Title: They came to kill the witness, but he was waiting. Robert Chandler had only been head of security for a few hours when he realized something was wrong. Gabriela Reyes, a detainee, wasn't just a witness, she was the former financial manager and secret mistress of Cartel boss Alejandro Cortez. She knew everything: the bribes, the properties, the money trails. And now, Santa Rosa was coming to silence her. Elena, a former undercover agent who had once worked with Gabriela, revealed the chilling truth: Cortez wasn't just sending men, he might come himself. As Robert's team scrambled to secure the detention center, they discovered an inside man, Ramon Vega, a guard with cartel ties. Interrogation revealed the worst: the attack was set for 2 a.m., with 30 armed operators breaching 3 separate points, aiming to kill Gabriela and erase cartel records from the facility servers. Vega's mission was to disable systems from within. He failed. With time running out, the team moved Gabriela to a secure room. Surveillance confirmed Cortez himself had crossed into the U.S., and with him, his brutal enforcer, Diego Fuentes. The assault began with military precision. Power cut. Multiple breach points. A helicopter inbound. Snipers on the roof. But Robert and his team were ready. They neutralized Vega, rerouted Gabriela through maintenance tunnels, and used traps, motion sensors, and backup generators to hold the line. Then came the gas. Cortez had planned to fill the facility with CS to disable everyone. But Wilson, the tech specialist, isolated the ventilation system just in time. The attackers kept coming. Robert faced Fuentes head-on in brutal hand-to-hand combat. He won. Cortez tried to flee by helicopter. Robert stopped him too, but refused to kill. Instead, he took Cortez alive, for justice. Just as the team thought it was over, Cortez's tech expert breached the system and revealed Gabriela's new location. 4 more operators moved in. Robert raced through the tunnels again, out of bullets, running on grit and purpose, and arrived just in time to defend the safe room with Torres and Elena. Barely holding on, wounded and low on ammo, they fought to protect Gabriela until the FBI finally broke through. In the final assault, Cortez tried to set a breaching charge himself. Robert tackled him. They fought man to man. Robert could have killed him, but he chose justice. As dawn broke over the desert, Cortez and 37 cartel members were in custody. Gabriela would testify. And Robert? After 12 years of drifting through grief, he finally felt something he hadn't in a long time. Hope.